Here's another show you can enjoy in the True Story FM family of entertainment podcasts.
What's up, Supernatural superfans? I'm Chrissy Lenz.
And I'm Nate McWhorter.
And we're the host of
Gank That Drink,
a supernatural drinking game podcast.
It's the podcast where we make up drinking game rules for our favorite episode of our favorite show, Supernatural.
We recap the episode for you and let you know how all the rules played out.
Then we let you know the drinking game rules for the next episode, so you can play along.
Plus, members get every episode early and ad-free,
with some extra bonus content chit-chat at the end of each episode as a member exclusive.
So download Gank That Drink, a supernatural drinking game podcast wherever the finest podcasts are available.
And or become a member at truestory.fm/gankthatdrink.
And when you're out there in the world saving people and hunting things,
you know, the family business.
Keep the Gank That Drink motto in mind. Be excellent to each other and party on,
dudes.
Hey, movie lovers, I'm Pete Wright.
And I'm Andy Nelson. We are the hosts of the Next Reel Film Podcast.
If you're passionate about films like we are, you'll love our show. Each week, we dive deep into a movie, discussing everything from the story and performances to the cinematography and score.
Not to mention budgets and awards. We have covered iconic series like Francis Ford Coppola's The Godfather trilogy, examining themes of power, family, and the dark side of the American dream.
We've explored the works of groundbreaking directors like Catherine Bigelow, discussing her mastery of tension.
We've looked at heist films, great car chases, great years in film, couples on the run, and more.
Our discussions go beyond the surface, examining what makes each film tick. We believe that when the movie ends, the conversation begins.
And we'd love for you to join that conversation. Find the Next Reel Film Podcast on your favorite podcast app or at thenextreel.com.
The Next Reel. When the movie ends,
our conversation begins.
Coming up on The Devil's Details, Satan's been all around the world, LaLaLaLaLa. Paradise Lost, Book 9. Good morning, Star Lovelies, and welcome to another episode of The Devil's Details, a show where we dig up, decipher, dissect, and deconstruct the many forms of the devil. One of my names is Lester Ryan Clark.
And I sometimes go by Kynan Diaz.
And we're just two lost souls hitchhiking down the highway to hell. And just a reminder, today's episode was originally recorded as bonus content for our first podcast, The Exorcist Minute, so I think we should hand it over. Take it away, past Lester and Kynan. Today, we are covering Book 9 of John Milton's epic poem, Paradise Lost. Last time you'll remember, Adam asked Raphael, the quirky, affable angel, to explain the entire cosmos, to which Raphael said, no. But he went on to make many speculations about the hierarchy of the heavenly bodies and or man and woman, which, much like the actual planets, went over Adam's head. Adam recounts his origin story where it's revealed that he was born/made somewhere outside of Eden. He has a dream that's not a dream, but it is for some reason, where he meets God and God takes him to Eden and then he wakes up in Eden, leaving us to speculate, why did he need the dream? God puts Adam to sleep again, and Adam dreams that God reaches into his chest and takes out a rib, creating Eve. And when he wakes up, Eve is gone. But so is the rib.
Oh, wait a second. He wants his baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back rib. I hope we don't have any listeners who are less than 35 years old.
So he goes off in search of Eve and soon finds her, and all of nature celebrates their union. Adam's last question to Raphael is, where do widow angel babies come from? No. Actually, yes.
Yeah.
He asks about angel sex. The sun starts to go down real quick because Uriel is done with this job. And that's Raph's cue to say, look at the time. He bids farewell to Adam and warns him one more time to beware the devil now lurking in their garden.
And I guess tell Eve that I said goodbye.
Because she's not here for this very, very important message.
Right. Tell Eve I said smell you later.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Oy, oy, oy. And that's where we pick up with this book. So now let's take a look at what we got today. Let's read Milton's argument at the top of book 9. Satan, having compassed the earth with meditated guile, returns as a mist by night into paradise, enters into the serpent sleeping. Adam and Eve in the morning go forth to their labors, which Eve proposes to divide in several places, each laboring apart. Adam consents not, alleging the danger, lest the enemy of whom they were forewarned should attempt her found alone. Eve, loath to be thought not circumspect or firm enough, urges her going apart, the rather desirous to make trial of her strength. Adam at last yields. The serpent finds her alone, his subtle approach, first gazing, then speaking, with much flattery, extolling Eve above all other creatures. Eve, wondering to hear the serpent speak, asks how he attained to human speech, and such understanding not till now. The serpent answers that by tasting of a certain tree in the garden, he attained both to speech and reason, till then void of both. Eve requires him to bring her to that tree, and finds it to be the tree of knowledge forbidden. The serpent, now grown bolder, with many wiles and arguments, induces her at length to eat. She, pleased with the taste, deliberates a while whether to impart thereof to Adam or not. At last brings him of the fruit, relates what persuaded her to eat thereof. Adam, at first amazed, but perceiving her lost, resolves through vehemence of love to perish with her, and extenuating the trespass, eats also of the fruit. The effects thereof in them both. They seek to cover their nakedness, then fall to variance and accusation of one another. Holy shit, folks, this is it! We're here. I did not expect this to happen in book 9. I was kind of wondering if Satan was going to try like a couple other things first, like he shows up as a parrot, because, pandemonium of parrots, right?
Yeah.
But Eve's like, yeah, talking parrots, not so special. And then he's embarrassed by that failure, and so he shows up as a panda.
Oh, great.
Right? And he's even less effective, right? He falls out of the tree of knowledge, and he just lays there chewing on some bamboo. Right? He can talk, he just doesn't feel like it. He forgets his mission. And he just goes back to hell with like bushels of bamboo, and he's like, guys, this stuff is amazing.
Is it time for some bamboo facts?
Yeah,
Lester
yeah.
and Keenan's bamboo forest.
Oh, yeah. Let's do it. I love this new segment.
Lester and Keenan's bamboo forest facts.
Ooh, I love that alliteration.
Well, bamboo is the world's tallest grass.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a tree.
It's not a tree. It is actually a grass. It just grows so tall that it becomes, hardy and wood-like, but it's not really wood. It's grass.
Wow.
Yeah. All right. That's all the bamboo facts I have. Unless you got any. I don't know.
No, that's it. That's it.
All right, great. This has
Keenan. As I look back on this wonderful new segment,
yes,
right? just the memories. I mean, let's play back some of the best, right?
Well, bamboo is the world's tallest grass.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
This has been Lester and Keenan's Bamboo Forest Effects.
Yeah. Stick around for no, don't, because that's all we got.
I don't. Yeah. I don't have time to.
That's all we know about bamboo.
But that's pretty interesting, right?
Yeah, no, it's really interesting. Folks, if you want to hear us talk more about bamboo,
We'll put a poll up in the listener group if we want more bamboo facts episodes.
What was your favorite segment of The Exorcist Minute? I heard they go off on tangents, right? Did you but what is your, well, they stopped talking about the movie. And they started talking about this 17th century poem by this blind guy.
Mm-hmm. That kind of has the devil in it.
Yeah, it kind of does. Sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And then they stopped talking about that because they got really interested in bamboo.
Yeah. Oh, what did you learn about bamboo? Oh, let me pull it up for you.
Yeah. I have it favorited. All right. Anyway. But no, folks, this is it. This is the book where the eating of the fruit happens.
Mm-hmm.
And Milton sets the tone straight away here in this opening, right? He's speaking to us this time, right? He's no longer calling upon God or light. He is sad. He is talking directly to us. And he's preparing us for the tragedy that is about to unfold and almost apologizing that he has to tell it. It's very Dickensian, I think. I said before, Dickens loves to do this. And in class now, we're reading the Lemony Snicket books. And Snicket was clearly influenced by Dickens, and he lays it on even thicker, but in a good way. Check those books out if you haven't. The Lemony Snicket Series of Unfortunate Events. After you read Paradise Lost with us, right? You got to do that first. You got to finish this homework. But no, actually, so I bring this up because a lot of children's books do this. I'm thinking of The Hobbit and the Narnia books and anything by Roald Dahl. These authors are not afraid to step out of the story and become a character themselves, the character of the storyteller, and speak directly to you about what just happened or what's going to happen in the story. I say like it only happens in kids' books, but Shakespeare does this, Dante did this, and now we got Milton playing the part of the reluctant scribe. He doesn't want to tell this part of the story, and it's hard for him to do so. Literally, he can't even call upon Urania, remember the muse of science. In fact, he can't even say her name anymore. He just says, my celestial patroness in this one, right? It's like the connection to the muses has been severed. And that's actually the theme of this book. Is the fall of heavenly discourse along with the fall of humanity. This book is all about communication breaking down. And we're going to see several examples of that. And I love that the first one we see is Milton himself at a loss for words. He's done this before too. Like when he used error to describe a twisty river in Eden, right? As if Satan is like slinking around in the text of the poem itself and corrupting it in real time, right? And now with this book, Satan has won, and Milton is rendered almost speechless.
Well, clearly he's doing it, right? He's doing it as an author and like, making this argument and explain the ways of God to man. But I think, if you're a literalist, right, then you really do think that Satan is in everything in the world, present tense, right? And so if you are writing, the sad part of a novel where things are going badly, then that is Satan, right?
Exactly. And also, I mean, I imagine if you're trying to do what you consider God's work, the Lord's work, right? This isn't, purely for entertainment in Milton's mind, right? He thinks he's justifying the ways of God to man. Right. Then, of course, Satan is going to try to meddle with it a little bit and make it a less perfect piece, right? Yeah. But yeah, so our book opens with Satan returning to Eden under cover of night. I don't know why, but I still get the the stage play vibes from this part right at the top. It's like Adam just said goodbye to Raphael. They both exit, right? Like stage left and stage right. Then there's that polite, applause between scenes as the lights change, right? And then Satan walks on stage before the applause is done, right? It's a new scene, right? But it feels like it would be, Milton doesn't say this, and there's no indication of this in the poem, but it feels like it would be the same location. Like the scenery wouldn't change, just the lights. Right. And then we get this creepy feeling because he's literally in the same place that they were just talking, right? Like he just missed them, right? Yeah. But yeah, and folks, you'd think I'd be happy, right? It's our boy Satan. He's back. Right?
You've been going around saying, "Where's Satan?
Where's Satan? How many more sleeps until?" I just learned that that's not a thing that I only used to say when I was little.
Oh, really? How many more sleeps till Christmas?
How many more sleeps? Yeah.
Oh,
like other people say, it's like, yeah. How many more sleeps till Satan comes back?
Till the Dark Lord arrives.
So yeah, folks, you think I'd be excited, but like just the way that Milton has set this up already and the way that Satan shows up right after Raphael's like, be careful, he's out there somewhere. And now we're like, shit, he's not out there. He's here.
Yes, but I was under the impression that Satan was still in the garden. That's what we were saying in our previous shows. But apparently he's been other places.
Apparently he has been all around the world. La 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 la. No.
Wait, which song are you trying to read?
The la 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 la.
What is that one?
It's all around the world. La 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 la.
I don't know that one.
Inside an empty room. Da 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 da. You know how helpful it is when you just say la 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 la.
I thought you were doing I've been around the world and I can't find my baby.
No.
Now you don't know that one.
No, it's a very like it's like all around the world. La la la.
Oh. Yeah, what the hell's that one called?
How did you not get it's called La 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 La. Obviously.
Let me see here. It is called that.
I know. Because I looked it up. I am aware.
This is around the world, open parentheses, la 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 la. La 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 la. But there must be other words to that, but maybe not.
There's a few.
Geez, this is the craziest lyrics page I've ever opened up on the internet. just la 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 la. It goes around the world, just la 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 la. It's all around the world. All right.
So then the hosts of The Exorcist Minute tried to get back to Paradise Lost after their bamboo segment, and they started arguing about the title of a song. All right. Anyway, yeah. So Satan's been around, and you can tell that because like he's got a Hawaiian shirt and shades and a sun hat, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that weird like uneven tan, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just like all over his wings, bumper stickers. No. But no. Okay, so but no, he's been traveling because ever since Gabriel sent him away, way back in book 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's been circling the globe, avoiding the sun, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Uriel doesn't see him, right? And Milton says he followed that darkness for 7 nights without days. I like that phrase.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Lapping the equator 3 times and going from pole to pole 4 times. And folks, I do not have the brain power to do the math on that or explain how that works. So let's just trust Milton that he did that.
And with no tan then if he's in darkness after all.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So there is no tan. Yeah.
He's even paler and gothier than if he hadn't done that yet.
Oh yeah. We're going to talk about some of these illustrations, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
Especially because he doesn't seem to be wearing clothes anymore. He's gone. He goes from like fully clothed to naked, and Adam and Eve go the opposite way.
Oh,
yeah,
that's smart.
Yeah, I meant that as a joke, but actually it is. You know what? I'm pretty sharp sometimes.
Yeah, that's very astute.
Except when I can't think of a word other than sharp. So he's been gone a little over 7 days, and on the 8th night, he's back. He arrives at midnight just west of Eden, opposite from the gate, and this is where he finds a secret entrance to the garden, which this is where he was last time. He was on the western side, and he just jumped the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't he do that again? And he has wings, Milton. He just flew around the world, la 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 la. I mean, I guess we gotta, imagine that Gabriel has fortified it in some way since then. Like maybe he's got
sure,
like that pigeon stuff on top of walls, like the sticky stuff, right?
Yeah, and God said, "Let there be pigeon wire." Yeah.
Mm-hmm, right.
And spike tacks for vermin birds.
Right. Gabriel's just doing his morning patrol, and he just sees Satan stuck up on the wall. And he's like, "A little help." Were you trying to get in again? No.
No, I'm a little baby. Yeah. oh, come on in.
Yeah. He's not even trying anymore. He's full on Satan, but Gabriel's like, wait a minute. But yeah, so for some reason this time Satan needs to use a secret entrance that he finds. But yeah, so the secret entrance is actually part of the Tigris River that used to dip into this underground ravine and come back up in a spring near the Tree of Life, which we all know is in the center of the Garden of Eden. Unless it's not.
Why don't we move on?
Yes. This is that. It's, Milton's being so meta. It's not for us to know. It's forbidden knowledge.
No, I'm just going to treat you like an aunt at Thanksgiving who has said something politically untoward.
Oh.
We're just going to change the subject.
I thought you were thinking of me as an ant, like an ant. I was like, Kynan, you're just going to ignore a talking ant?
No, I would be delighted.
Much like a talking snake, I'd be puzzled and I would do whatever it tells me to do. But yeah, okay. So yeah, the Tigris River, folks. So Milton is putting Eden on the map in this book, literally. So that means Milton's Eden was in the Middle East, specifically in or around Mesopotamia, a.k.a. the cradle of civilization. So. Oh, and folks, Milton assures us that the secret entrance is no longer there, so don't go, jumping into the Tigris River trying to get into Eden.
Okay.
It's been blocked.
Oh, good. But I've always wondered, this idea about Eden being in Mesopotamia between the Tigris and the Euphrates, and like why people in the Levant, which is where Israel is, so the east coast of the Mediterranean, like why people from there are saying like, oh, humanity comes from someplace else, first of all, which is interesting, and then why it's specifically in Mesopotamia. So I don't have an answer for that. I doubt anyone really does, but I think it's just interesting. Yeah. So we say that that Eden is in Mesopotamia again, like. The cultures to the west of there, the southwest, saying that it's in this other place that they know about, which could be because Mesopotamia is the cradle of civilization, like you were saying, or who knows, any number of reasons, or maybe because it was really there, right?
Yeah.
Versus, like the scientific evidence that we have much, much later is that the first humans are from Africa.
Exactly.
Possibly the Rift Valley, so sub-Saharan Africa, possibly Ethiopia, Sudan, etc. And nowadays, evolutionary biologists talk about mitochondrial Eve, which would be the first human that so the idea is like we could potentially find somewhere the mitochondrial Eve tracking back like humanity's DNA through the mitochondria of some sample out there, and you would get to the first woman who was a human and not our simian ancestors.
Right. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, there you go, folks.
If you found mitochondrial Eve, please give us a email at theexorcistminute@gmail.com.
Yes. Write to us in the form of a 5-star review.
Yes, 5-star reviews on the Exorcist Minute podcast are the stepping stone to a Nobel Prize in physiology or medicine.
No. I was going to say, if they write to us about the mitochondrial Eve in the form of a 5-star review, we will share the Nobel Prize with them.
It's very generous of you.
Yeah. It'd be 30, 30.
40 for you. I see where this is going. Oh, because I run the Instagram page, so I get an extra 10% of the Nobel Prize. That's fine. It's fine.
Wait, the Exorcist Minute has an Instagram page, Kynan?
I believe it does, right?
And a Twitter?
That's right.
I know you didn't say that, but no, actually, for some reason, like my Twitter updated, and I can't get to the Exorcist Minute Twitter anymore.
Jesus.
So I'm gonna have to try that. But yeah, if you've been wondering, but you can follow me on Twitter and Kynan on Twitter, and we'll Les Ryan Clark and Howdy Kynan, and so I will be posting about the show up there. Yeah.
Okay, great.
And then they stopped talking about bamboo, and they tried to start talking about the poem again, but they just started promoting themselves.
Which is just so unlike other podcasters.
No. But yeah, okay. So see, Satan's messing with us, Kynan.
That's right.
He's messing with this episode. Yeah. Or it's Captain Howdy. We don't know. Yeah. But yeah, so Satan follows the river underground and comes up in the form of mist out of the spring near the Tree of Life. And Milton keeps on saying it's the Tree of Life. And from here, he looks for a place to hide. Now, Milton goes back in time a little bit and tells us that while Satan was traversing the globe, he had searched for an animal that would best suit his plan for revenge. He apparently inspected every single creature on Earth, or maybe every type of creature on Earth, and finally decided that the serpent was the most cunning of all the animals, and the best way to hide from the angels, because Satan's own cunning will be hidden, right? No one's going to say, hey, that snake is acting sus, because sus is the default for snakes. So yeah, actually, Satan as a panda would be really, really obvious. You'd be like, Gabriel, I'm a little worried. See that panda over there? It's like, which one? The one rolling on his back and grabbing his toes? No. The one in the corner standing on his hind legs, rubbing his forepaws together and laughing. Gabriel's like, is that a mustache? Do pandas have mustaches now?
Top hats and cloaks.
But no, so he decided on the snake. And here we are, folks. This is Satan's final animal transformation, right? So he's gone from birds to various prowling beasts to a toad and now a snake, as low to the ground as he can possibly get. And actually, I never noticed this before, but if you look at the illustrations by Doré, every illustration of Satan is different. And if you go in order, he seems to be getting uglier and more devilish. I'm a little ashamed I didn't catch this until now. But like, Kynan, take a look at some of these illustrations. So I pasted them into the Google Doc, and I'll post them up on our in our listener group as well.
Yeah, and you mentioned that he gets less clothed, he gets less human-like, and then also less angelic. But then, yeah, even his facial features. So it's not just costume and then, prosthesis, makeup or whatever. Right? It's also just like his facial features are adapting and looking more. Geez, you were saying devilish. I don't know how to say it besides that. His eyebrows are more arched. He seems to be alone, pondering more.
In the very, very first one, this would be from book 1. He's like standing on a rock, and he's like they're in hell, and he's like telling, I guess that's Beelzebub down there, to get out of the burning lake, right? And he's dressed, like very angelic, right? He's got he looks like the lady in the Columbia logo, like, like he's got this very like kind of like feminine angelic face, and he's holding his arms up, and the wings are angel wings, right?
Yeah, if you showed this to someone, they would think that these were both angels.
Right. Like he's
because they are, I guess, still right. They still are angels,
but like he looks like a good angel.
He's bringing he has his hands up like the lady with the torch, but both hands are up like Moses with the tablets. But
right, like he's saying, "Be not afraid."
Like, I bring you, I bring you wisdom and gifts.
Right, and then like the next one, he's in Eden and he's doing his big soliloquy. It's like to be or not to be, evil, and he looks like, I don't know. This almost looks like Elijah Wood. Do you see that?
Yeah, for sure.
But he's clutching his locks, and he's looking off in the distance, and he's looking very tragic, very heroic,
right.
And he's still got the angelic armor on,
right?
And he very, very clearly has regular feet.
Oh yeah,
right. So it's regular feet, regular body parts, regular proportions, everything, right?
Right.
And then we're at this is like right when Gabriel and the other angels send him away, and they're all up on the hill, and they're looking very like pious, and they Gabriel's got his sword out, and Satan's like, screw you guys, right? and he still looks like the Columbia logo, right? Like he's got this very angelic aesthetic to him, except for like the bat wings with the big like claws up top.
Yeah, but he does look pissed. He does look angry.
Yeah, but it's like angelic angry. It's not like scary, right?
Right.
And this is when it starts to get like weird. You go to the next one, and it's that one. It's my favorite one. He's like sitting on the rock, and you can see just in the distance like Adam and Eve are there. They're like frolicking and and being lovey-dovey, and Satan is not having it, and he's sitting kind of like in this like mood, and
and this is the one from your childhood that if you get a good print and look at it, he's actually looking directly at the camera, if it were.
Yes, right.
The viewer, yeah.
And it's weird because it's like, at first it looks like he has no eyes, and then you get closer and it looks like he's looking off at Adam and Eve, and then he's looking at you, right? And he's got these like black lips. It's like almost like a Joker thing going on if you're like far away. But yeah, he looks a little bit more devilish here, right? And he's not wearing that like angelic armor anymore,
right?
Right? Yeah,
he's stripped to the waist. He has sort of like, I don't know what that would be called. He's got sort of a towel on, but a towel that's made for that purpose of walking around in.
You can cut this out and put him like in a sauna. And
right. Yes, exactly.
It fits perfectly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, so there's that one. And then the very next one, this is when he is back. He has come back from, traveling all around the world, and he looks scary. Right? Like even his hair, it almost looks like they're snakes now, right?
Yeah.
And and he's also like completely naked.
He's naked.
He is naked. And Kynan, look at his feet.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They're hooving. I don't know what the word would be.
He has got hooves, right? And I remember seeing this. I was like, wait a minute. Was he always having hooves? And I looked up. I was like, no, these are feet. Like these are all feet until this picture. Now he's got hooves.
He brought this upon himself, I say.
Mm-hmm. And then the final picture is like if you compare the first picture and the final picture, it's like night and day. It's completely different. He's got like full on hooves now, and he's even got like some little horns poking out of the top of his forehead, and again completely naked. And he's looking at the snake, and he just looks like very, very dark and devilish.
Yeah, and I feel bad for this snake, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But yeah.
Oh yeah, we're gonna yeah. The snake gets a bum.
Yeah, exactly. This makes it clear that the snake is not a bad character.
No.
It is Satan who is casting him into aspersions for all eternity.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember because biblically God punishes the snake.
Right.
I'm trying to remember if Satan is still in the snake when that happens in Milton's version. I don't know.
Right.
I can't remember.
Like skedaddling, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Well,
so
that's
the snake just wakes up.
Yeah. It's like, I guess I'm accursed for all time, and my children's children and my children's children's children.
Right. You shall be crushed by the woman's heel. What? Imagine that, Kynan. It's like you've been alive for 3 days in Eden. Right.
Right.
You just slithering around, right? You're eating, I guess fruit at this point, right? Nuts and berries and stuff. Right. And you're just having a good old time, right?
Yeah. As God commanded you to.
As God commanded you to, right? And all the other animals are saying that you're like the subtlest and the most crafty, and it's like you don't know what they mean, but
sure,
you'll take it. Okay. Yeah, right? And you go to sleep, and the next thing you know, you wake up and God is shouting at you. Eve and Adam are crying and pointing at you, and God is like, you shall walk on your belly. And you're like, what?
Right. What did I do?
What did I do?
Yeah. I think that's fascinating. That is a little different from the Bible. So I'm fascinated by that change. Yes.
Yeah. So this is, and again, like Milton wasn't the first to put these two together and say that the snake was Satan, but this is kind of like the Disney version that everybody remembers, right? So I thought that was interesting, just seeing like the evolution of DeRay's Satan in through his illustrations. So Satan has decided upon the snake, the serpent, right? Okay, question. And this has been a question amongst religious folks for as long as I can remember. Did the serpent have legs? Like, is God's curse literal? Is it figurative? We are so fucking hung up on whether this goddamn serpent has legs or not, right? Rather than worry about like, okay, is this thing about Sodom and Gomorrah correct? Or like, knowing what we know now about like the language culture and the historical context, is this translation of virgin accurate? Did Moses have rays of light coming out of his head, or was it horns? Is it the devil, or is it a Satan in the book of Job? Does the Bible actually mention, the type of hell that we've been, spinning for centuries, right? What is the actual meaning of trespass and neighbor, right? These are the things that, like, if we misinterpret them, could have huge implications later on. But no, we got to discuss and debate about whether the snake had legs.
Well, snakes did have legs evolutionarily at some point.
What?
Yeah, the ancestors of snakes did have legs, and they evolved to get rid of their legs because it became more advantageous to not have legs, the way that they were eating and living their lives.
Well, this has just been the episode where Lester proves
no, I'm not
how
saying
dumb he is.
No,
I guess
I'm not. No. This was way before the authors of the Bible. No. No, not. And Milton, I'm sure, did not know that snakes' ancestors had like there are still some snakes that you can find species with little tiny legs that don't work anymore. They're, what do you call it? Vestigial.
Oh yeah, Vestigial. Yeah.
So they are just behind in evolution. If you were, that's not quite how evolution works,
Oh.
but you know what I mean. They're
Yeah.
Like they just haven't needed to fully mutate away from that because there hasn't been an evolutionary advantage to it.
Well, there you go, folks.
No, that doesn't answer the question.
I mean,
about whether
there
this
you don't
snake
go.
has legs. I'm saying that there are yes. If you go back far enough, snakes had legs. Yes, like if you go back far enough, whales had feet. You know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. I saw this little meme about a land whale, and it was
wait,
I
we
think
probably
you
saw the
posted
same thing.
it.
Oh well, maybe, I don't know. Maybe then. Well, you're being hard on yourself, Lester.
Yeah.
Today. It's not your fault that you didn't know that snakes had legs.
I know.
Lester, it's not your fault.
I know.
It's not your fault, Lester.
Back off, man.
It's not your fault.
And then they tried to reenact Good Will Hunting. But they didn't remember it exactly, so it was just kind of...
So then it took me a while to figure out what they were doing. They didn't have the accents.
No. Just made me miss Robin Williams. But the biblical kind of like back and forth seems to be, some people say the snake had legs and God said, crawl on your belly, and now the snake doesn't have legs.
Right.
Or God is like putting the snake back in its place. It's like, no, you're meant to only crawl on your belly. It's like you're not going to be like, talking and discoursing with man anymore. Right. So, 6 of one, half a dozen million years of the other. Yeah. But anyway, Milton doesn't seem to have him having legs. Did you get that from reading it? It seems like he's, it's like he's talking about him coiling around and slithering and stuff like that.
And kind of like putting himself upright to like be more powerful or something, right?
Yes, right? Like rearing up and all that stuff. So using his like twisty body, like almost like a human with legs, but not actually having legs, it seems. Yeah. But yeah, so Satan has chosen this snake, but before he even finds a serpent to possess, remember, he just walked on stage, right? And we've missed him for several acts, right? We saw him in the flashback in the War of Heaven, but now we're back in real time, and this is his opening song, right? His opening soliloquy, right? Let's call back to his original, his Let It Go. Right?
Yeah, this is the reprise.
Yeah, right. And he talks about how much the earth is like heaven and how beautiful it is, and how he wishes he could be free to walk amongst its inhabitants and enjoy it as they enjoy it. But all of earth's beauty, like the godlike beauty of Adam and Eve, only adds to his misery. He knows he is not welcome here or in heaven, and he knows that succeeding in his plan will not make him happier. And he's definitely going to be punished even more after succeeding. And his only solace is that he will have brought everyone else down with him. Quote, "For only in destroying I find ease to my relentless thoughts." That's all he can do now. And now he starts to build that up in his mind. He will have the sole honor amongst all the powers of hell. He'll be the one to destroy in one day what God took 6 days to create, and who knows how long to plan. And then he reflects, he says, though maybe he's only been planning it since that night I emancipated nearly half the angels from his tyranny, right? I love how that part of the story has changed a little bit, right? As if they left by choice.
Okay, yeah.
How I emancipated,
right.
Heaven,
not that we got forced down off the edge of the cliffs, yeah.
How I quit that job I hated, right? Yeah.
That's a good catch, yeah.
Yeah. And I like how he doesn't say like 1/3, right? He says nearly half.
Right. He's been saying a third, right?
Yeah. Which is similar, but it's just different enough, right? Nearly half sounds better than 1/3, right? See, folks, the father of lies' first victim is himself. I love that.
Yeah. I wonder if this is part of like what the later like romantics liked about when they were reading Milton, and they were like, oh, this is, when they're reevaluating and saying it's not like a critique of Satan, it is he's this romantic hero, right? Of him like knowing that his plan is going to backfire on him. It's not really going to do what he wants it to do. He's going to get punished even more, but he's going to do it anyways. And that's like this, grand romantic thing of against all advice and against all reason, right? I'm going to do this emotionally and the emotional logic of that. And that's like the romantic ideal.
Right. He's following his heart.
Right.
Right. His dark, husk of a heart, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, so he goes on to speculate, right? There's a lot of speculating now, right? Ever since Raphael showed up.
Right.
But yeah, so now he's speculating. He's like, maybe God made man because he is no longer strong enough to make angels. And then he adds to himself, like, if he did indeed make us at all, right?
Oh.
I like that he's still holding on to that, right? Because he said that back up in, when they were talking to Abdiel, right? He's like, maybe God didn't make us, right? And yes, I'm so glad that Milton added this next part. This is one of my favorite character traits of the devil. Satan is offended that God has angels working for Adam and Eve. He has angels guarding their home, angels sending them messages, angels teaching them things, angels, providing light from the sun, when the angels should be ruling over them, right? Like this quote, earthly charge, right? This man of clay, right? I love it. And Satan goes on to bemoan his fate, right? He was once so bright and he conversed with gods, right, or other angels, and now he is forced to mix his essence with this lowly snake, right? This beast. And he has a bit of honest reflection here, where he says, this is what revenge has done to me, right? It has made me low. But then Milton adds this, and this is such a great addition to Satan's character. Satan concludes that God did all of this, creating the cosmos, the sun, the stars, the earth, the plants, the animals, Adam and Eve, to spite him. He's like, he's doing all this to get back at me. He just can't let it go. And he's forcing me to become a snake now. I love how delusional that is, right? And so his conclusion is that he must answer spite with spite. And there we go. He has succeeded in justifying the ways of Satan to Satan. And I'm sure other people have pointed this out, but that journey that he just went on was as twisty and looped around in itself as the actual snake.
Right.
Right? But he got there, Father of lies, folks. And so his mind is made up. He creeps through the garden like a black mist, Milton says, until he eventually finds the serpent sleeping. It's sleeping right out in the open because, there's no predators or prey yet. And Satan enters through its mouth, but does not disturb its sleep. And that is the end of this scene, which I don't know why, but I really like this. He didn't wake up as the snake and, there's like a whole, right, he's looking at his new body and he's laughing, in snake language, parcel tongue.
Right.
Right. The snake just continues sleeping and we fade to black end scene. I don't know why, but I like that.
Yeah.
Right?
Just to draw this connection, I suppose, to our regular show of the Exorcist Minute, like I always assume, and I think this is the way that is biblically, that he morphs into a serpent, that he takes the guise of a serpent, but Milton's version is he's possessing a serpent who is minding his own business. So I think that's neat. That's not how I picture it, right?
Yeah.
So there's some serpent, just lying around minding his own goddamn business, and then the devil goes down his mouth, and yeah.
This is the first possession.
I suppose so. Yeah.
Yeah. Right?
It must be.
See, folks, we here at the Exorcist Minute, we knew what we were doing when. No, we didn't.
Yeah, there's no way to end that sentence about anything. Our listeners already know. We knew what we were doing.
That's the biggest lie you've ever told. Yeah. Aye.
Yeah, but it's interesting because so much of his work so far has been posing as a toad. He doesn't have to go and find a toad to be. But this time he does. I don't know why, but he seems to have to do that this time. Yeah.
I mean, like, if we try to figure out, like a literary reason, right? I can speculate that he is even farther from that angelic, like, power to assume things and create things. Than he originally was. Now all he can do is take.
Oh, as he's been around the world in LaLaLa, he's losing that. Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Right.
Also, he gets to have this scapegoat now.
There you go.
Where they're like, this snake, this is the problem, as opposed to the demon, or the devil, rather.
Exactly. So we end right on that scene. Right, the snake is still sleeping. Right, lights go down, and then back up on Adam and Eve. Right, it's the morning of the next day, and they are arguing, and this is more of that meta thing that Milton is doing in this book, where like even before the fall happens, things are breaking down, right? Things are less perfect. So in this argument, not the argument that happens at the beginning of every book, right? Talk about, it's like, really meta. But like so in this argument between Adam and Eve is suggesting that they split up because she has noticed that the garden grows faster than they can tend it, right? All of their work is essentially erased within a day, right? Making, as she puts it, their supper at the end of the day feel unearned, right? And so she has a plan. She says that when they're together, the work is slower because, half of it is spent giving each other little looks and little smiles and being all lovey-dovey, right? So they should try splitting up and see how much they can get done that way. And I had misremembered this as her being like deceptive and crafty and trying to get alone, like away from Adam. But
to get to the tree?
Yeah, but she hasn't, like that's completely incorrect. She hasn't met the snake. She's still good. So there's no reason other than like she thinks this is a good idea. Right. So she is still innocent, and she is sincerely debating this point. Yeah, and so she wants to be like efficient in her work.
And having, I'm sure a lot of the people of Milton's time who were predisposed to having, like misogynistic interpretations of this, I'm sure a lot of them are blaming Eve for this
absolutely.
argument, right? But her argument is not like, I'm being, I'm being a woman in this, and I have these feelings. Like, she's making a point about their work that is legitimate, just philosophical disagreement where both sides seem to me equally valid.
Yeah, no, Kynan, I am so glad you brought that up because I have like a whole thing on that. Like, we're gonna break down this entire argument, and like if you read it as it is written, forever and ever, amen. No, she is everything that she says is valid,
right?
Right, like there's no like if Milton is trying to make her stereotypically like crafty or contrarian to Adam,
right?
He's not doing a good job. Like everything that she says makes sense.
Yeah, she's not acting even out of emotionality of this. No. It's like I don't think that we're meeting our quota.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah, and that's another thing, folks. I really love Milton's ability to, when he does have this kind of discourse, these kind of like debates or arguments in his stories, it's like both sides sound so reasonable until you hear the other side. You're like, you hear it, like he does it really, really well in the sequel to this poem, Paradise Regained, which is it's a much shorter. It's just all about Jesus in the desert, and Satan appears to him and does the whole temptation thing. But in Milton's version, like they go back and forth about the nature of man and the nature of evil, and every time Satan opens up with something, like I remember reading it and being like, well, that's a really good point. I don't see how Jesus could possibly counter this. And then he does, and I'm like, well, that's a really good point. And it just goes back and forth, and I feel like the worst Olympics judge ever would I just keep on holding up the 10 card. I'm like, that's really good. That's really good. That's really good. Right. Yeah. But and the same thing is happening with this argument. And yes, like you say, Kynan, scholars, including Rogers, I believe, seems to be trying to paint this at or paint Eve in a bad light in this. But we're going to break this down. We're going to look at like each of the things they say. Right. So this is firstly, this is the first conversation in the poem that feels like an actual conversation. Dialogue up to this point has been largely ceremonial, right? And where both speakers are already like on the same page. We even joked about it, right? It's like, as you already know, Eve, but I'm going to say it anyway, right? Like that's how dialogue has been going, right? Even the stuff between God and the Son, right? He's essentially talking to himself,
right?
And also remember the great council in hell. Remember how that was like all kind of a sham, right? every point made in that council by Moloch, Belial, and Mammon had already been made in Satan's, let it go speech.
Mm-hmm.
And, he and Beelzebub had already decided on the plan and were just kind of like letting the demons hash it out for themselves, right? So all discourse up to this point has been ceremonial. It's been ornamental, right? Like the words of a song or of a prayer, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But now Adam and Eve are actually having something like a real argument, because this book is where that line is drawn. This is the death of song and prayer and the birth of noise, but also the birth of discourse and debate, which aren't evil, but are now necessary. And the beauty of this is that in the span of this one book, we go from like good, proper discourse to petty bickering, right? And I love you get that all in one book, right? So this is the beginning here up top, right? Eve is talking about, being more efficient in their work, right? So Adam replies. He says, "Soul Eve, associate soul, to me beyond compare above all living creatures dear. Well hast thou motioned, well thy thoughts employed," right? He sees her, he values her, he recognizes and acknowledges that what she says is smart. Great start, right? There are books all about proper discourse and debate, and one of the first and most important things they teach you is to let the other person know that you understood what they just said before you launch into your own thing, right? Not as like a strategy, but like as an actual proper way to have a quote unquote argument, right? So Adam says those are really good points, but he also points out that their work, quote unquote, is simply ornamental, right? Just like, speech has been up to this point, right? They don't have to earn anything, right? And this is true, right? They're not harvesting or picking or planting anything, right? The fruit grows easily and abundantly and falls right into their hands. The work is in pruning and shaping, right? It's more like sculpting or painting than actual gardening, right? And there's no time limit, there's no quota, there's no judgment on the quality or the quantity of the work, right? And it's not meant to keep them from, stealing glances at each other and being lovey-dovey, right? And having little breaks and whatnot, right? He's saying that work in Eden is basically just play, right? It's a sandbox for them to play in together while they love each other, to which I say, also fair point.
Yeah, he's convincing me. 10 out of 10 for me too.
Yeah. So far, they're both tied, right? And folks, I don't think they're not going to tie. I think it's just going to be this way, right? But even after that, Adam does admit that alone time is also good for us, and he would normally be fine with them splitting up for a while, except now the devil is out there and he's worried about Eve. He's worried for her safety, right? He says Satan might actually be waiting for the chance to get one of them alone and they'll be safer together. Also fair. I'm holding up my 10 card again.
Yeah, but from her point of view, maybe it's like, I've been with you for 72 hours, 24 of which has been sleeping, 16 has been making love, and 32 hours have been you asking Raphael questions while I'm cooking dinner.
Yeah, that's it. Again, 10 out of 10. Fair point. And that wasn't even Milton. That was Kynan. But yeah, so Adam has made his point. But Eve reads this as Adam doubting her, right? Doubting her strength to resist this new enemy, doubting her intelligence, right? He thinks that she's going to be easily tricked if he's not there. And most of all, doubting her loyalty. And this hurts her. Yeah. And she says this, again, good argument etiquette, right? What we might call an I statement, right? Have you heard of these, Kynan?
Oh yes, very much. They're very helpful. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like when you're arguing with someone, right? You focus on, sentences that begin with I, right? So I feel like I'm not being trusted or believed in, right? Very, very different from a you statement, which is what, we usually fall into when we argue. It's like, you always do this or you said that, right? So again, good argument made by Eve, right? But Adam says it's not because he doesn't trust her. He knows that Eve is too good to be tempted, but he doesn't want to give Satan the chance to catch either of them alone. He says that when he is with Eve, he feels stronger and wiser and braver than when he is alone. So why shouldn't she feel the same way about him? But Eve replies, why should we live in fear of harm, right? Harm and death are irrelevant, just like work is apparently irrelevant, right? Because death doesn't exist, right?
Right.
So and harm also, she makes a point. She says harm does not lead to sin. If we're harmed, we're still going to be free of sin, and that's the bigger danger. And what's more, Satan sees them as weak and easily tricked, and Eve says we should face him and show him that we're not, instead of hiding forever in our own garden, right?
Mm-hmm.
And kind of proving him right if we do. But if we prove him wrong, God and the angels will be even more proud of us, right? What is faith or love or virtue if it has never been tested alone, right? Without any outside help, without God's help, without the angels' help, right? We should be strong enough to face Satan alone, right? And she finishes with this. She says, frail is our happiness if this be so, and Eden were no Eden thus exposed, right? It's no longer Eden if they have to live in fear like this.
Then the devil's already won.
Yeah, exactly.
The terrorists have won. Yeah, if we let them make us live in fear, then the terrorists have already won.
Right? So again, 10 out of 10. But then Adam replies. He says it's not that they're not strong enough. They are. God made them strong enough so that nothing will harm them unless they allow it. The danger is inside. The danger is from them. He gave them free will and the ability to choose, but that also means that they have the ability to make the wrong choice. And he reiterates, it's not mistrust in Eve, but love for her that makes him want to protect her. And he finishes with this, and he says, and for you to protect me. I'm surprised that Milton added that little bit, right? And he says they shouldn't go looking for temptation. It's going to find them. Right? That's inevitable, right? They are going to, come face to face with Satan at some point, right? He's in the garden, right? And rather than test her resistance to temptation, she should first test her obedience, is what Milton puts. And I'm going to read that as, and I can see Eve just being like, right? And I'm going to say, because Milton doesn't clarify, I'm going to read that as obedience to God, like, obedience to their promise that they made.
Right.
But you see how both of us, we kind of like our hackles raised, right? So perfectly understandable that Eve is like, obedience, right?
Right. All right. Well, that's like a 9.5 because of that word, I think, for me.
Right.
All right. Eve pulls ahead in this.
Yep. There we go. Right. But for him to truly mean it that way feels out of character for this Adam right now. But in the end, and like as proof of that, in the end, Adam says, if Eve really wants to go, then she should go. Because if he forced her to stay, then Eden really is over. Right? He's not going to take away her free will, right? And it hurts him to do this, but he wishes her luck and he tells her to trust in her own goodness. Right? So he gives her that choice. And Eve thanks him for understanding her, for validating her. And she says that with his blessing, she now feels even more confident to go out there alone. And she doubts that such a proud enemy will go after the weaker of the two anyway, right? But if he does, he'll be even more embarrassed when he fails, is her conclusion. And I forgot to mention this, but they had started this argument holding hands, and they're still holding hands. And now Eve's hand slips from Adam's, and she goes off, and Adam watches her go, and he feels this pang of loss and sadness already, right? And he asks her to, be back before noon, and he like repeats this several times, and she promises that she will be, and Milton dips in, just like Dickens again, and he's like, but she was wrong.
The modern version of that would be like Ron Howard on Arrested Development as the narrator. He does that, right? So Michael was saying, I think it would be disgusting, Job, if you had slept with her, but I don't think you did. And Job says, I did sleep with her, and it was disgusting. And the narrator pops in, Ron Howard, they didn't, but it would have been. So that's the meme online, right? How are things doing? Things are good. Narrator, things were not good. Or, it's not your fault. I know, man. It's not your fault. Narrator, it was his fault.
Oh, I love that. So now we cut to Satan as the snake, and he's slinking around, and he's thinking,
I'm just going to stop. He in the snake, I would say.
Oh, in the snake. Sorry.
He's not as a snake.
He's not as a snake. He's not
God
like a snake.
Damn it.
You are absolutely correct.
He's in a snake.
He is
He's in a
in a
snake
snake.
who has no idea what's going on. Which, I think that's so much worse in Milton's version.
Yeah,
There is some poor snake who's innocent as well, right? Doesn't know right from wrong, and does he, like we ask in the Exorcist Minute proper, right? Is Reagan aware of what the demon is doing with her body? Right? Is what's going on in this poor snake's
Is the snake
mind?
conscious? Like, is he? Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
It's horrifying.
Yeah. This snake is an unwilling participant, right?
Yeah.
And this makes the devil just so much more nasty, right?
Yeah, real nasty.
Because he's not like a clever trickster, like, in a disguise. He's like hijacking this snake, right?
Jesus.
No.
Not nice. Not a nice guy.
No.
I've said from the beginning.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, Satan, not a good guy.
I don't know, Kynan. I think I can change him. This is like all of the evil, in the world up to this point.
Right.
It's a cry for help.
Yeah, he's just a bad boy.
Yeah.
He's not bad. He's just a bad boy.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, okay. So we cut to Snaten.
Snaken.
Oh Jesus. Okay. Yeah. We cut to Satan. In the snake. Right. He is
in the snake.
He is piloting. He is wearing a snake suit.
That's right.
Right. And he's slinking around, and he's thinking it would be great to catch one of them alone, right? Like maybe Adam, that would be great. But oh man, like if he could catch Eve alone, that would be the best. But like there's no way. There's there's no hope for that, right?
Right.
And then he turns a corner and he sees Eve alone. And he can't believe it. And like this is more than he had hoped for, right? But upon seeing her, he is once again overcome by her goodness and her godlike beauty.
Right.
In that she reminds him of God, right?
Right.
And Milton says that for a while, quote, the evil one abstracted stood from his own evil and for the time remained stupidly good. And I like that, stupidly good, right? Like he's dumbstruck.
Yeah.
And he literally has to talk himself back up to it, right? He says, thoughts, whither have ye led me? With what sweet compulsion thus transported to forget what hither brought us? Hate, not love, nor hope of paradise for hell. Hope here to taste of pleasure, but all pleasure to destroy.
But so he turns a corner in Eden, which sorry this is super tangent, but it's real. Like when the guy who killed the Archduke Ferdinand.
Oh yes.
The Archduke Ferdinand was driving through Sarajevo, right? And they threw a grenade and it missed and hit the car behind them.
Okay.
And they were like, oh, geez, that was a close call. And then they went and did their business. They were supposed to give a speech. And then the Archduke was like, we should go visit the people back at the hospital. That was really crazy. So they go back down the wrong street and they make a wrong turn. And the driver is pulling back. And it's like, those old jalopy type of cars.
Right.
And Prince of Gavro is right there. And he's like, what? literally the Archduke's car stopped in front of him. And he was on the sidewalk 5 feet away from them. He was and he reported being the exact same thing. Like, what? I was trying to kill this guy earlier. And we're like, oh, we lost our chance. And then he stops right in right in front of me. And I'm like, oh, geez.
That is,
and almost doesn't do it because he's so dumbfounded by the coincidence. Right. Yeah. I'm
trying not to laugh, but
right. It started World War I if you don't know the rest of the story.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we're going over World War I in history class right now, right? And there is this famous story of Hitler running from something in the trenches, and he gets sighted by one of the enemy soldiers, and this soldier has him at gunpoint and decides not to shoot him. And people are speculating. It's like, if that guy had pulled the trigger that day, then what could have happened? Yeah.
But that probably happened a bunch to Hitler because he was in the trenches as a regular soldier. So it's probably whether that story is historically accurate or not, that kind of thing did happen. I'm sure. Hitler almost died a bunch of times.
Oh yeah, right.
Right.
but didn't, unfortunately.
And he grew his little mustache because of mustard gas.
The gas mask. Okay,
or...
I thought that was I was wondering if that was true or not. Right?
Yeah, again, I don't know if that's true or not. Sorry, I didn't look it up. But
no, that was also in the in this little documentary we saw. Like he couldn't get his mask on because the mustache was too thick, right? So he cuts it and then
yeah. So he almost died a bunch of times.
Yep. Almost. And just every time, right? Everybody's just like, fuck.
Lester.
Yeah.
It's not your fault.
I know.
It's not your fault.
But no, like okay, talking about these chance meetings, Kynan, you know what this reminds me of, right? This story that I of course know, and we talked about like way back in the beginning.
Yeah, The Appointment in Samara.
Yeah, which is exactly what I was going to say. I wasn't trying to think of the title.
But that's exactly right.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And just to recap, folks, right? This boy is told that death is in the city looking for him, and so he tells his father, "It's like I'm going to run away to Samara, and escape death that way, right?" But on his way to Samara, he bumps into Death at the marketplace, and Death is surprised to see him there because Death had an appointment with him in Samara. Right? So yeah,
true story.
Yeah, very true. Just as true as the Hitler story and the creation story, and talking snakes and all that. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, okay. So he turns not a literal corner, but
right.
And he spots Eve, and he's like, right, and then he has to talk himself back into being evil, right, because she looks so much like God, right, and so now his mind is made up again, and he approaches her, but not slithering like snakes do today. Milton makes this clear. He's like raised up in these looping coils, which I really hope isn't literal because that's really silly. Like he's a spring?
Yes, he's a spring. He's a Tigger.
It's like, boing, boing, boing. I know, like Milton is trying to square that circle of God, saying that he must crawl on his belly, right?
Right.
By not having him do that here. But I'd rather he just have him rear up like a cobra, right? Because snakes do that. Snakes they can lift half of their body off the ground, right?
Right. So that's scriptural, right? So that's the punishment that God gives snakes for seducing Eve into this, right? So it's all snakes have to do this, right? Or it's not?
Well, I mean, that was the whole did snakes have legs debate that we had up front. Is exactly. Is God saying from now on you'll crawl on your belly, or is he saying, how dare you assume the role of human, go back to crawling on your belly, right?
Right. But the snake is like, well, geez, I've never crawled on my belly. That was Satan doing that. But
yeah.
Oh no, God, no, please don't make me crawl on my belly. What a punishment. Oh, woe is me. You have really found the perfect way to punish me for this.
Boy, I was saying to, when I got up this morning, I was saying to Mrs. Snake, whom no one has ever met, but I swear is real. It's a long distance relationship. We're in Canada, right? I said, boy, I hope that I never have to crawl on my belly. Wow.
But if that's the way it's got to be, Lord, for you are the Lord my God.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. I was going to say, please disintegrate me, but not crawling on my belly. That's an even worse punishment.
It's even worse.
Yeah. Nah, God's just tapping his foot. He knows what's going on.
It's
you're pushing your luck here. It's yeah. But no. Okay. So Satan in the snake approaches Eve, upright,
right,
and he's kind of slithers around playfully, and at first, she doesn't pay any attention to him because she's busy working, and she's seen animals do stuff like this all the time, right? But his movements are weird enough so that she eventually looks up and she realizes that he was trying to get her attention, and as soon as he has her attention, he speaks. And he apologizes for startling her, and he says that he only wanted to gaze upon her beauty as she is the most beautiful thing in all of creation. But rather than be flattered by this, Eve is puzzled. And she asks how in the world it's possible that he, an animal, is now able to talk. Right? Satan replies that once he was just a lowly animal like all the rest, but then one day, searching for food, he happened upon a tree filled with fruit, the smell of which was so tempting he could not resist it. And folks, pay attention in the poem to how he describes the smell of this fruit. It's a little unusual, but Professor Rogers suspects it might be a very clever deception. He says, when from the boughs a savory odor blown, grateful to appetite, more pleased my sense than smell of sweetest fennel or the teats of ewe or goat dropping with milk at even, unsucked of lamb or kid that tend their play. So he is comparing the fruit to mother's milk, calling upon motherly imagery, both allowing Eve to be a mother and giving her that mother that, she never had. So yeah, so all this mother imagery, and right, like just even just kind of the the little pun here, right? With milk at even, right? So like the shortened version of evening, right? Sounds very much like Eve, right? Yeah. And he continues. He says that he had never experienced more pleasure than from the eating of this fruit. And as soon as he ate it, his mind was open and he could speak and he understood all things. And in this new wisdom, he understood that obviously Eve was the best and most beautiful of God's creations. And so he came to worship her because he recognized that was the wisest thing to do. Right? And I love how he keeps trying to slip in this flattery, right, about her beauty. But she is like, she's not interested in that at all, right? Scholars like to say that here is where like Satan is preying upon her vanity, but I do not see that at all. She is more interested in how this snake is able to talk, right? And she even calls him out here. She says, serpent, thy overpraising leaves in doubt the virtue of that fruit in thee first proved. Basically, your excessive praise makes me doubt how much wisdom that fruit actually gave you.
Right.
Damn.
Yeah.
Like she insulted him by humbling herself. She's like, and I don't know how people are reading this as her being flattered when like she literally says, I don't think that fruit made you very smart if you think I'm the most beautiful thing here, right? Like, how can you read it any other way?
Right. But also, like, so that fruit made you so smart, you've just been waiting around here to tell me that the fruit made you smart? Like, she seems a little skeptical of it to me.
Yes, right?
And that's what you did with all your great wisdom was lay around here and wait till I came by.
Yeah. Right. And yeah, she continues. She's like, but tell me, where is this tree? Because, we haven't yet seen every tree in Eden, right? So she's thinking this might be a new tree, right? And he offers to show her the way. He says it's not very far. It's near a spring. So was the tree of life. I'm thinking these are the same tree.
I don't want to get into it, but yeah, you said that there was he came up through a spring.
That was by the tree of life.
Under the wall, and then it was by the tree of life. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah. And so she says, okay, lead the way. And Satan is so happy. He is literally glowing, like the colors of his scales, or the snake's scales that he is inside.
Thank you.
Yeah, are getting like brighter, right? And he leads her to the tree. But as soon as she sees it, she's like, you could have spared us the walk, right? It's great that the fruit of this tree made you smart, if that really is the case, right? I like that she adds that in here. She's still skeptical about that.
Right.
But she continues. She says, but for us, this tree is forbidden. So the issue is moot.
Right.
Right. And Satan does a clever thing here.
Yeah. He says, you're moot.
And she's like, whoa. She rolls up the sleeves that she doesn't have. She's like, all right. Never tasted snake before, but...
And that's how man fell.
Yeah. Adam and Eve, did you eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil? No, Lord. Wait. Did you eat the snake? Yes, Lord.
Well, I guess that's okay. I don't know how I'm supposed to think about that.
It's like, what? I didn't even expect that. I really did give you guys free will. You broke the game.
Yeah, that's right. I was over here hoping to play 4-dimensional chess, and you're over here playing Eat the Snake.
Adam and Eve are like, Lord, we thought you were going to say snakes and ladders. He's like, well, no, we can't play snakes and ladders anymore. Can we? Can we? And that's why we have no snakes today, folks.
Sad, the sad tragedy of man living in a world with no snakes.
But yeah, so but no. Satan does do a really clever thing here. He by playing dumb, he's like, really? God said you can't eat from any tree of the garden? And so now Eve has to correct him, right? She's like, no. We can eat from any tree except this one. God told us if we eat from this tree, we will die, right? And another clever thing here, right? I really like this. Satan pretends to get angry on their behalf. He's like, oh, God said that to you? He lied to you like that? To you, Eve? You're obviously smart enough to talk with God. You must be able to see through this obvious lie. And he's like, no, you're not going to die from eating fruit. He's like, look at me. Did I die? No. I'm even more alive than I was before.
Yeah.
And then he's like, maybe God means that your old self will die away, like mine did, right? And you'll be even better than before. That's probably what he means. Besides, I was allowed to do it. He didn't punish me, and I'm just a lowly beast. I'm just a little snake. He's like, why are you talking like that?
Yeah. Oriole comes down instantly hearing that and like gives him $10. He's just so used to helping him out.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say like Oriole, like that's Oriole's cue that's Satan.
Oh, no, I don't think Ariel figured it out yet. I think he's just triggers in him altruism towards this poor little baby.
Right. But no, Satan doesn't do that. He says he's a lowly beast, right? And he argues is God really going to deny Eve something that this snake was allowed to have, right? And punish Eve for such a small thing? And he's like, do you think God is that petty? And he's like, maybe he is. Maybe he's trying to keep you and Adam stupid because he's afraid. Or maybe it's a test. Maybe he's trying to get you to think for yourself, right? So this is another part of Satan's temptation. Rogers says that he's speculating here, right? He doesn't give one good reason to eat the fruit. He gives many potential ones, right? He's speculating. This whole time, Raphael has been cautioning Adam and Eve against speculation, which is hilarious coming from him because he is the affable speculative angel, right? He engages in speculation while he's with them, right? It's like it's hard to find a time when he's not speculating about something. But embedded in this speculation is the warning for them not to speculate, not to wonder, not to worry about the stars, just be innocent and happy. It kind of does feel like Adam and Eve have been set up.
Right.
God could have had Gabriel go down there or Michael or Oriole, but no, he had to send Raphael, the speculative angel. He sent them Keith Richards to tell them not to do drugs. But there is another part to this. Rogers says the last temptation of Satan, the last temptation by Satan, rather, is embedded in Eve's deep down desire to be equal and independent. He implies that this is a test to prove that she can think for herself, like Adam. Remember, she got up and left when the boys started talking about stars and planets, right?
Right.
They didn't tell her to go, but they didn't ask her to stay. Right? They didn't share in this conversation with her, right? They didn't ask her opinion. It's actually kind of heartbreaking. Satan says she will be like God, but he implies with that she will be like Adam and closer to Adam. They will be able to love each other even more because they will be equals. Rogers says that Milton is saying this, and if he is, this is the best addition to the original story that Milton has made, even more than all the devil stuff. And folks, I love my devil stuff. But Milton's changing of eat this and you will be like God to imply eat this and you will be like Adam, you will understand him and he will understand you, is, in my opinion, Milton's greatest contribution to this story. Right? And the irony here is that rather than justify the ways of God to men, he is justifying the ways of men and women to God.
Mm-hmm.
Milton is justifying Eve's eating of the fruit by elaborating that it has nothing to do with vanity or pleasure and everything to do with wanting to be both closer to Adam and independent of him.
Mm-hmm.
Milton is justifying her action, and he will also beautifully justify Adam's action when he eats the fruit.
Mm-hmm.
There is more sympathy and justification in their actions than any of the actions he gives to his God, right? He is doing the opposite of what he set out to do. And I don't know if that was the game all along, or if he's doing this unconsciously.
Right. That's interesting.
Yeah. And so let's get to it, folks. She picks the fruit and she eats it. And Milton says the whole universe cried out in anguish. And Satan immediately slithers away. He doesn't even stay to gloat. He's just gone.
That's not like your kind of devil. Your kind of devil would stay there and gloat, right? Do a little dance.
Right.
The Saturday Night Fever sort of like disco-y.
Yeah. He would messily explode out of the snake.
I don't know out of which side or what.
It wouldn't have to be messy, but he would make sure that it would just like snake pieces all over the place. And there he is, Satan, right?
Mm-hmm. I think mine, would do a dance. He would do the chicken dance and, and not explain why any of this is happening. As she's just staring with the half-eaten apple, still half a piece in her mouth, and and then she's like, and then it goes in the bridge. Mr. Snake, are you?
Satan is so attention starved.
Oh yeah,
from God.
Yeah,
like he's been waiting for this so long, and he is so happy. Right.
Yeah. He doesn't
have sore winners, folks.
Yeah. Well, if there's anybody, it'd be Lucifer Morningstar.
Yeah.
Sorest of winter.
Yeah. Or Kynan, is he, like our beloved Chris McNeil,
mm-hmm.
just being like, ha 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 ha.
I made you eat the apple. I made you eat the apple. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're joking because this is the fall of man, and this causes
Yes.
every war that's ever been in existence, and pestilence and pain, and yes.
Everything bad comes from this moment, so we're trying to be silly, including this podcast. This is,
That's right. It's war and childhood illness and earthquakes and this podcast.
Yes. Not podcasts in general, just this podcast.
No.
The Exorcist Minute. But he leaves, which is, I completely agree with you, Kynan. Like, my devil would stay around and he would, this would be another monologue. Right. This would be the finale of his song, right? But this one is so much more unsettling.
Mm-hmm.
He's just gone.
I guess because the universe is calling out in anguish, and maybe like he didn't know what he was unleashing. Maybe.
Oh, I like that.
It's like, oh God, get away from here.
Oh, I wasn't even thinking of that. I was just thinking of him being like a dick and abandoning her. But no, that's even. Oh, I like that even better. Mm-hmm. Him like regretting it and running away because he's scared.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, I like that.
As the universe is whatever it means that the universe cried out in anguish.
I don't know if again Milton with his literal and figurative. Like, I don't know if the universe like makes a sound or if it's like it
just all shifts a foot down. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. It actually reminded me, like when Milton said that, it reminded me of I forget what it's called. It's the Star Wars musical piece when Luke and Vader are fighting in Jedi, and it sounds like the universe is crying. It's what is it called? It's not Duel of the Fates.
Oh, don't worry, they out there know it.
No.
All of our listeners know it, and they're screaming at us right now. Sure.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
They're so angry. Guys, use the force. Come on. I'm trying to pick it up. Okay, freaking. No, I can't search for it in YouTube because I don't know the name. LaLaLaLaLa. Wait. ChatGPT. What is the name of the? I had this on my phone, and I listened to it on repeat. Of the piece of music where Vader and Luke are fighting in 6. I had to count. Come on. No, it's not the Emperor's throne room.
Vader's not in the Emperor's throne. No.
No, it's the Fury of... Wait.
The Fates.
Wait, no, that's the...
I know.
The piece you're referring to is known as the Battle of Endor 2. No, it's not!
Is that Lub Nub?
Yes, it was the most emotional piece in Star Wars, where a son, where father is fighting son to the death, and you hear blab blab
blub.
The Fury of the... I can't complete this because I don't know the name. The Fury of the Star Wars.
Yeah, that's a ticket.
No, is it called Jedi's Fury? I think so. Hang on. Jedi's Fury theme. Where is it? Yes, I think this is it.
You better listen to it so you don't get emails.
Yes, I know. Yes, it is.
Okay.
It absolutely
all right.
is. Yeah.
You found it. And it's called what?
It's called Jedi's Fury.
All right.
Yeah. So that's what
and that was making some kind of point.
Yes.
About our show. I've forgotten it. I apologize.
Yeah. No. Because Milton says the universe cried out.
Yes.
When she bit the apple.
As soon as she bites the apple, right.
Right. And that's like there's a part in Jedi's Fury that like it rises up and it sounds like the whole universe is despairing that, father and son are fighting. That's what I thought of.
Right.
Yeah.
And I like the interpretation, even though it's probably not what's going on, that Satan is so disturbed by the universe that he like instinctually just flees into the darkness as the snake.
Yes, I like that too. Yeah.
Because it's the only thing I could think of to explain why he's not there going, whoa, you fool.
That's his character.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
That's the character that we've come to know and love in this poem.
Right. Not just our interpretation of the Bible, right? That feels pretty universal, right?
Yeah. I like that. Yeah, it spooks him a little bit. Right? He feels a little bit of fear or maybe regret. I don't know.
Yeah. It's like that song, The Fast and the Furious, or whatever you were.
Exactly. Right. LaLaLaLaLa. Yeah. But no, I would say like the other thing that I thought of when Satan disappears is it's just like in Eve's dream. Remember, she walks to the tree and she sees that angel, and the angel gives her the fruit, and they fly up into the sky, and then she looks and he's gone, and then she starts to fall.
Oh, right.
Right. So I also like that he like in the most important moment, right? Like when she's making this big decision, she's like, I mean, this is a much bigger scale, but it's like, it's like a fair weather friend, right? Who like abandons her in her time of need, right? Yeah. But yeah, so, but Eve doesn't even notice that he's gone. She is so absorbed in the taste of the fruit. And after a pause, she begins a soliloquy. And who do we know who has a lot of soliloquies in this story? Adam and Eve have always spoken to each other or to Raphael, right? And then after talking to Satan, now Eve is also talking to herself, right? And she says this is the best thing that could ever have happened. And from now on, she's going to give the most tending and the most attention to this tree. And she's going to pick and eat the fruit every day. She says that experience is the best teacher. And this is her reward for making her own decisions and thinking for herself. And she notes that, like the snake, she hasn't died, right? Hasn't been punished. And she wonders if she should share this with Adam right away, or maybe keep it from him and make sure that she remains equal, right? Maybe even superior, because superior equals independent.
Right.
But she eventually concludes that if she does die eventually, like maybe the punishment hasn't come right away, but if she does die, she will be separated from Adam, and she can't have that, right? She says she'll face 1,000 deaths with him, but she cannot face a life without him, which implies that she doesn't understand what death is, and of course she wouldn't, right?
Right.
Yeah. So she's it's almost like she's thinking of death as like exile,
Right.
rather than like I'll be dead, meaning I'll be outside of Eden, but still conscious, right?
I guess similar to what the devil is experiencing. Like that's the
Yeah,
exile instead of a death, right?
right. Yeah, right. Now, meanwhile, right, Adam is making her a crown of flowers
Mm.
while he waits for her return. This is the first time that they have been separated, and all he can do is think of her.
Mm-hmm.
But all day he's had this sinking feeling in his heart that won't leave him alone. And eventually he can't take it anymore, and he goes off to search for her. And they find each other at, Milton says, the tree of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And she says that being apart, and she says to him, Eve says to him, being apart from him was the worst pain that she has ever felt, and she never wants to feel that again. But she has great news. This forbidden tree is not what they thought it was. And she relates what happened with the serpent and what happened to her. Her eyes have been opened, her spirits have been raised, and her heart is more full than it ever has been. And she wants the same for him. She wants to share this. And if he can't have it, then she doesn't want it. Again, I don't think she understands like the implications yet.
Right.
But she implores him to join her. But Adam can only stare at her. He's completely frozen. And from his hands, this is so cinematic, right? From his hands drops that crown of flowers that he was making.
Yeah.
Right. And I think it's implied that he sees death on her already. But take note, folks, his response is not anger. It's deep sorrow. And the first thing he does is praise her as the last and best of all God's creations. And he laments at how she has fallen and cursed to die, and how he is also doomed to die, because it's not even a question. He's going to follow her wherever she goes. He says, even if God made another Eve, the loss of her would never leave his heart. And in saying this, he actually feels relieved. Like there's no decision to be made, right? Like this is their destiny, right? And Eve is touched by this, by how he wants to stay with her and share the same fate, even if it means death. And they embrace, and she gives him the fruit, and he eats it without hesitation, without any being tricked, right? He does it freely. And Milton says the universe once again cried out in anguish.
Right. But so that is different from some people's interpretations of scripture, right? It is not a trick. It is not that she seduces him.
Right.
It is, he does it like a Romeo and Juliet, like, well, that's it.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
She took the poison. He's going to join her in that. Right. See, like we have criticized Milton and rightly for a lot of the sexist stuff that he's put in here. But I really like the manipulation of Eve that Satan does by preying upon her heart rather than her greed or her vanity or her lust, right? It's like you'll be able to get closer to Adam with this, right? And also Adam's choice, his determination to stay with her and be in sin with her. That is a beautiful addition by Milton, I think. Yeah. So from this point on, not only have they changed, but their love has changed as well. It has become infected. Adam looks at her and is suddenly filled with lust, and so is she. And he leads her to this bed of flowers, and they make love, but it's not making love. They're just like using each other selfishly and taking from each other for their own pleasure. And that union that they used to have is gone. And afterwards, they fall into a troubled sleep, and they awake the next morning unrefreshed, as if they haven't slept at all. And they look at each other, and Milton says their eyes were opened and their minds were darkened. Interesting juxtaposition there, right? Eyes opened, minds darkened, right? And he says the veil of innocence was gone, and they saw that they were not only like literally naked, but they had also been stripped of that innocence and simple goodness. And so Adam tells Eve that they got to go into the woods and make clothes for themselves. And so, they go and they find leaves and they sew them together. And after that, they just they sit down and they cry because, now their bodies are covered, but their minds and their hearts are still broken. And here's where Adam says, you should have listened to me this morning. But no, you had to go off alone. I knew this would happen.
Well, that's not a 10 for me. That's like a 1.
No.
That's my scorecard.
And it's going to be 1s from here on out, folks. No. Because just as quickly, Eve replies defensively. She says, who's to say you wouldn't have also fallen for the snake's trick? Plus, you're the man. You should have made me stay.
Oof. Eve.
Yeah. To which Adam replies, is this the thanks I get for sharing the punishment of your sin? You were so sure that you were going to be all right on your own. But this is what happens when a man listens to his wife instead of the other way around. Again, sheesh. Yeah. And there it is, folks. The death of discourse. Right? The death of healthy conversation, right? Both of them are busy blaming each other, and neither of them wants to admit their own mistakes. Milton says this is why angels will no longer converse with us.
Oh,
right?
Jeez.
Yeah. So Raphael was the last, and that's it, right?
Man, we could have had some better ones than Raphael, too. If we had just, I mean, nice guy, but
a little, a little out there,
right.
Yeah. But we can't anymore because our talk has devolved. It has become petty and selfish, right? We fight, we bicker, we judge, we condemn, we cut each other with our words, we lie to each other and to ourselves, and we can no longer communicate the way that we used to, right? Like this, in this humble, vulnerable, heart-to-heart way, right?
Yeah.
At least not without like a lot of effort, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And I imagine it's sort of implying like that the way we can do that is through godliness, which is the whole thing, right? So yes, you might be able to do that, but with help of the church and with God and your relationship with God.
I was thinking like instead of the church, I was thinking like we get like little flashes of that, it's like it's when mother and son talk to each other, or when someone like truly says they're sorry and they mean it, or when someone says I love you or something like that. Like we get little hints of what conversation was all the time back then, right?
Geez.
And it was just filled with love and like everything was healthy. And now it's like rare. It's like lightning in a bottle.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, and sadly, that is where we have to leave Adam and Eve. I have a feeling the rest of this poem is going to have a very different tone. And I actually feel the tragedy in this loss of paradise. And they haven't even been kicked out of Eden yet. I'm talking about like the paradise, which, Satan, of all characters, noted that they find in each other's arms, right? Like this surprised me that like, I was like, oh man, I'm waiting for the devil stuff. And, the devil shows up and he skedaddles. And the thing that I'm like emotional over is Adam and Eve, Kynan, what did you think of this book?
Yeah, I thought you might like it a little bit more because I've liked the Adam and Eve stuff. I think it's interesting, even if I don't understand it all, because it's, again, like human by its very nature. But I thought you might like it because it is that blend of both Satan and Adam and Eve, the right mixture. One part Satan, one part Adam and Eve.
Right. And this is them, tragically becoming, fallen. This is them tragically becoming the humans that we understand today.
Right.
All right.
Tragically becoming you, listener.
Yeah, exactly. Right?
Oh, please spare him from a worse fate than becoming our listeners. People who who have to spend their time listening to us chuckleheads.
That's why it's bad to be our listeners, because they have to listen to
goodness,
us.
yes. Oh yes,
that's what you were implying. Okay.
Poor cursed listeners out there.
So yeah, folks, sorry it took 145 episodes to tell you, but you're actually in hell right now.
Oh, they know. They knew by
this is your
6.
punishment. This is
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing how the rest of this goes. If God's reaction to Adam and Eve doing this and their reaction to God exposing them is as it sort of is culturally depicted, right? Sometimes it's Adam and Eve go to God and they're like, look, God, you were wrong. Isn't that great? Like we can't eat from this tree, right? Right. So I'm wondering what Milton's version is.
I've heard versions where they are hiding from God,
right?
Because they're ashamed. And I've also seen a version. Maybe it's this one. I don't know. I don't know where I'm getting this one, but there is a version where God says to Adam, he's like, he finds Adam and he's like, hey, what's wrong? And Adam says, the woman you gave me is like defective. Which, I mean, he doesn't say that, but he's like, the woman you gave me like did a very bad thing and made me do a very bad thing.
Right.
But I hope Milton doesn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it, like this love story between Adam and Eve is really growing on me, and I like a garden. So I hope he does right by them.
All right.
We'll have to see what happens in the next book, but for now, that is all of it. All right, well, that was great. Thanks, past Lester and Kynan. Well, folks, I have been Lester Ryan Clark, both in the past and in the present. You can summon me on all the socials as Lester Ryan Clark.
And I am immune to the bounds of time, and I've been Kynan Diaz, and you can invoke me on Instagram and Letterboxd at Howdy Kynan.
Yeah, find more of our shows and other really cool podcasts at True Story FM. Like us on Instagram and join our Facebook listener group, Dante's Ninth Circle Sushi and Karaoke Bar, or feel free to drop us a message at thedevilsdetails@gmail.com. Wouldst thou like to live deliciously? We're not even asking for your souls. Just give us a 5-pentagram rating on iTunes or Spotify or wherever you listen to our show. That and sharing the show by word of mouth or on social media helps our little podcast grow and find more cool people like you. All right, folks. Until next week, love and hisses. Mwah!
Well, I hope they've enjoyed Lester and Keenan's Bamboo Forest of Facts.
Yeah. Oh, Kynan, I got another one.
Oh, a bamboo fact?
Yes, a bamboo
great.
fact. Kynan, do you know how many times bamboo is mentioned in the Bible?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, how many times?
Well, the Bible is composed in context geographically centered around the Middle East, North Africa, and the Mediterranean basin. It does not reference many plants or materials that are native to East Asia, such as bamboo. The texts of the Bible mention various types of wood and plants that were common to the regions in which the stories are set, such as acacia, cedar, and olive, but bamboo being native to Asia does not appear in these lists or narratives. So, 0.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's that's a fact.
Yeah. But did you also know that pandas have a diet that is over 99% bamboo?
Oh, that's an actual fact. All right, great.
They can eat for up to 12 hours a day.
That's what we have in common, yes.
Consuming up to 38 kilograms, that is 84 pounds, of bamboo. Their digestive system is more similar to that of a carnivore, but they have adapted to process the tough bamboo.
I think that means that they're too lazy to go and find bugs and stuff.
They're supposed to be carnivores, but like bamboo is almost slow enough to catch easily.
They just prefer taking 5 hours to eat 200 calories or whatever it is. Yeah.
Now, despite having a diet primarily of bamboo, pandas have a quote-unquote thumb, actually it's a modified wrist bone, that helps them hold the bamboo while eating. The adaptation allows for them to grip the stems, leaves, and shoots that they love so much.
Yeah.
Why is despite part of that sentence? Despite having a diet primarily of bamboo, pandas have a thumb that helps them eat bamboo. Is what this thing says.
Well,
I mean, is what I'm saying.
Bamboo fact.
Yeah.
Well, it's a bamboo fact, boys. Don't stop trying to fight it.
Yeah.
You've been bamboo facted.
Yeah. Take that to the bamboo bank.
Oh boy. Yeah. All right, great.
All right.
I love our bamboo thoughts.
We should have a whole nother podcast just called Bamboo Thoughts.
Well, but yeah, emulating pandas, it should come out like every couple of years. We should have a new episode.
That would be the easiest podcast.
Right.
We don't even have to try for this one, right? We can record on our iPhones and we can just like stop halfway through the episode.
But our panda friends would all say that they've been meaning to listen to it.
Oh yeah,
and they'll get around to it one of these days once things are just less crazy around here.
Right. Less crazy meaning, the bamboo gets a little slower and easier to catch. I'm busy trying to have a baby. I've been trying to do that for 9 years. Right. Or one very, very bold panda will try to be friendly and be like, by the way, I listened to your podcast. It's really good. Oh. And I was like, what episode? And he'll be like, what? And he'll fall off the little swing.
You could have just told us you listened to the one about bamboo.
And he's lying on the ground and he's looking at you. He's like, is it too late to say that? You're like, yes. That's the 1 star that we got, Kynan. Right. Because they it's so much effort for those 4 other stars.
It's got to slide his faux thumb, which is really a wrist bone, across to the 5th
which
one.
Is for eating bamboo. We now know. Not for giving 5-star reviews, obviously.